Good evening, hello and welcome. You're watching the explosive weekend debate here on CNN News 18 with me, Poonam Burde. The opposition in this country in the last 8 years has often alleged that judiciary is being undermined under the Modi government. That same allegation has once again been thrown at the centre. But this time, it is over a decision that was made by the president of the country. I'm talking about the new governor appointments that were made today. And biggest controversy is over the appointment of former Supreme Court Judge Justice Abdul Nazeer as the Andhra Pradesh's governor. While the Chief Minister of Andhra Pradesh, Y.S. Jagan Mohan Reddy, welcomed this move, he said it's my privilege to work with Justice Nazeer. The opposition has seen red. They are crying foul over the appointment. Congress, AIMIM, Samajwadi Party, the TMC all united to call this appointment a damage to judicial independence. They claimed it was a reward for the judge who was part of a 5-judge bench that unanimously paved the way for the Ram Temple in Ayodhya. Now, it is pertinent to note that a governor of a state is an executive head of the state. That person does not represent any particular ideology or the government. Then why the brouhaha over this particular appointment? Before we get into that debate, take a look at what's transpired so far.
Syed Abdul Nazeer, a former judge of the Supreme Court of India, has been appointed as the governor of Andhra Pradesh. Nazeer retired from the topmost court of India on January the 4th this year and will be succeeding Biswa Bhushan Harichandan as the third governor of Andhra Pradesh. Nazeer's elevation has triggered a massive face-off. Congress has come out all guns blazing, alleging that those who work for Modi become governors. Without mincing words, the Grand Old Party also cited that Nazeer was part of the 2019 bench that delivered the landmark Ram Mandir verdict.
ये जजेस को गवर्नमेंट जॉब देना, गवर्नमेंट पोस्ट देना अनफॉर्चुनेट है। राम जन्मभूमि बाबरी मस्जिद का सुप्रीम कोर्ट के फैसले पर बहुत लोग सवालिया निशान लगाते चले आ रहे हैं। जस्टिस गगोई के बनने के बाद जस्टिस नजीर को गवर्नर बनाना उन लोगों के शक और शुबे को और मजबूत करता।
The Samajwadi Party and AIMIM too echoed the sentiment. AIMIM tweeted a picture of a 5-judge bench who delivered the Ayodhya verdict. Taking pot shots at the centre, the AIMIM said Ayodhya verdict bench judges have been rewarded with post-retirement jobs.
Justice Nazeer साहब को राजपाल बना दिया गया। अब सोशल मीडिया पे और बाकी जगह पे चल रहा है कि उनको उनके 2 फैसलों के लिए, एक बाबरी मस्जिद पे जो फैसला आया उसके लिए और दूसरा जो नोटबंदी पे उन्होंने क्लियरेंस और क्लीन चिट दी है उसके लिए। देखिए, देश में जस्टिस नज़ीर साहब से पहले कई जज पढ़े हैं, बहुत पढ़े हैं, अच्छे अच्छे जजेस पढ़े हैं।
एक तरफ तो सुप्रीम कोर्ट को कंट्रोल करने में लॉ मिनिस्टर से लेके बीजेपी आरएसएस का जो हथकंडा है वो टाइट हो रहा है, जिसके चलते सुप्रीम कोर्ट का जज सड़क पे आके प्रेस कॉन्फ्रेंस कर रहा है। और अब जो फेवरेबल सरकारों के जो जजमेंट हैं उनको देने वालों को एक ऐसी नज़ीर पेश की जा रही है जो भारत की डेमोक्रेसी की जो फ्यूचर है उसमें एक गलत नज़ीर है।
The comments did not go down well with the BJP. Taking a jab at the Congress, the party said Nazeem's biggest sin is that he was a part of the Ram Janmabhumi's judgment.
I don't know what problem Congress party or the opposition has. Why they are questioning on the appointment of Justice Nazeer as the governor of Andhra Pradesh. I think it is a very good choice. And he is not the first retired judge to become the governor. Earlier also we have seen such examples. But I think this is the polluted mindset of the opposition.
Remember, Justice Abdul Nazeer was part of many landmark judgments, including the demonetization case and the judgment that held that the right to privacy is a fundamental right. He was also a part of the bench that paved the way for the Ram Temple and the Triple Talaq case. With centre and opposition at loggerheads over Nazeer's elevation, the big question is who is playing appointment politics? Bureau Report, CNN News 18.
So what's behind the appointment of Justice Nazeer? Was it merit or was it Mandir? Now, the opposition would like us to believe it was the latter, but it is merit, insists the BJP. It is the posting of a governor. Why the brouhaha then? Let's open this up. Joining me on this broadcast, a spokesperson of the Samajwadi Party, Professor Bhuvan Joshi. Political analyst Tanvi Pruthi is joining me on this broadcast as well. But I'd like to begin with Ashwini Dubey, who's an advocate with the Supreme Court. Is it so out of the world? Is this the first time that this has happened? Why are we having such a discussion over this one particular judgment that Justice Nazeer has delivered? He's had a long, illustrious career. He's been part of several judgments that have been given, and not tiny ones. There's several landmark ones that he's been part of. Why then single out this one particular case of his career?
Poonam, one of the finest judge of the Supreme Court who has knowledge of the Constitution, who has knowledge over the law of the land, and who can be one of the best governor of the state and the constitutional head, and who can supervise, who can add, who can advise the ministry and the state for the public welfare. See, look, it's not one case. Number of cases. He was part of at least 10 constitutional bench judgments, landmark judgments. And so far as the Ram Janmabhoomi Masjid, people are talking about, look, there were 5 judges. Unanimous judgment. One of the finest judges, Honorable Chief Justice of India, the sitting Chief Justice, he was also part of the bench. Honorable Justice Ashok Bhushan, Honorable Justice Bobde. There are many judges who were the part of the that bench. And why raising question? First thing. Second thing. This is not the first time which is happening. Fatima Begum's case you have seen. We have seen the justice politician Baharul Islam. Baharul Islam became a twice member of parliament, member of Rajya Sabha from Assam, from Congress party. In 1972, he resigned from Rajya Sabha to become a judge of Assam Guwahati High Court and went to become Chief Justice of Guwahati High Court, from where he retired. Then after his retirement, he was again recalled to be made of the Supreme Court judge. He became the judge of the Supreme Court, and from Supreme Court, he again resigned. And after resigning, he again became member of Parliament, Rajya Sabha. And not only him, the Justice Rangnath Mishra, we have seen. Not only him, former Sports Minister M.S. Gill, who was previously the CEC before joining Union Cabinet. Abhay Tapse, we have seen he joined the Congress party. And Justice Abdul Nazeer was part of the judgment of Justice K.S. Puttaswamy, which held that the right to privacy is a fundamental right. Not only this, in triple talaq case, he was also a party. And recognizing the right to privacy, validity of Aadhaar, it is one of his judgment. Then upholding state's power to identify backward classes for reservation. Why don't you know this from? Then the scheduled caste status does not travel across the state line. This is also one of his judgment. And deciding the standard of evidence in bribery cases and clarifying when a new accused can be summoned. One of the finest judgment, bench headed by Justice Nazeer. And then upholding the validity and implementation of demonetization, that was held by the 4-1. Means the 4 judges given a concurrent view. So why there is a question raising about the integrity and the look where is there any embargo in the Constitution that a person who was the judge of either the Supreme Court or High Court cannot become the governor? The Constitution gives the same right as right is given to
Absolutely.
me.
And like you said, it's not the first time, and I would like to get in Professor Joshi as well. This is not the first time that an appointment has been made of a former Supreme Court judge or of a former judge right after his retirement. There are several other cases, at least 4 that I can think of, which were done during the UPA era. Was the same noise made back then as well? Also, because Ashwini Dubey brought up the triple talaq case, I would like to point out for our viewers as well, as far as the triple talaq case was concerned, this particular judge that is being accused of reaping the benefits of a favorable verdict that he gave in the Ram Mandir case went against what the government wanted as far as triple talaq is concerned. He actually said triple talaq is legally valid.
As I recall, the late Sri Arun Jaitley, when he was opposition, once said that such appointments like Justice Abdul Nazeer is a pre-retirement judgment are influenced by the desire of post-retirement. मैं निश्चित तौर पे कहना चाहता हूं, अरुण जेटली जब अपोजिशन में थे, जो उन्होंने कहा था कि जो रिटायरमेंट से पहले के आपके जो जजमेंट है वो आपके रिटायरमेंट के बाद की पोस्ट को का रास्ता तय करते हैं, आज हम उनको याद कर पा रहे हैं और हमें लगता है कि इससे केवल न्यायपालिका के प्रति निराशा का भाव जागेगा.
बट व्हाई डू यू थिंक निराशा का भाव जागेगा जोशी जी? क्या आप ये कहना चाह रहे हैं कि वो जो अपनी कॉन्स्टिट्यूशनल पोजीशन है उनकी, जो उनको गवर्नर बनाया गया है, क्या वो उनके जो रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटीज हैं एज गवर्नर वो नहीं निभा पाएंगे?
देखिए, हम
क्या आप कह रहे हैं कि जस्टिस नजीर में कोई मेरिट नहीं है?
नहीं, देखिए, ये परिपाटी उस परिपाटी को जन्म देगी जो जिसमें ये कहा जाएगा कि सरकार के अनुसार चलिए और रिवॉर्ड पाइए. निश्चित तौर पे हम इसको केवल उनके रिवॉर्ड के रूप में देख पाते हैं.
Tanvi Pruthi, I'd like to get you in as well. The opposition says this is nothing but a reward. But like I mentioned, there were 4 other appointments that were made under the UPA era as well. Did we hear this kind of noise from the Samajwadi Party or anyone else who today unitedly speak against this particular appointment? There have been several such appointments which have been done right after the retirement as a judge.
Yes. Good evening to all your viewers and my fellow panelists. I will make two important points. First is the legal point that the spokesperson of the Samajwadi Party also mentioned, what late Arun Jaitley ji said. And I want to just take that point forward. The government will not bring a law or a constitutional amendment barring Supreme Court judges from taking plum post. Hence, our vibrant judiciary needs to suo motu form a constitutional bench to settle the issue for once and for all, whether post-retirement judges should take up positions where they are answerable to the executive. Nobody is talking about the positions of tribunals, etc., where application of legal mind is required. But the present-day judiciary will lose perception battle if they fight executive hegemony on one hand and their brother or sister judges are accepting such executive roles on the other hand. So the need of the hour is for the Supreme Court to set a standard for all judges of the Supreme Court and the High Courts. That's my suggestion as far as this issue, legal point of view is concerned. Now, second, I'll come to the politics behind it. I was listening to the press conference of the Congress party held by senior advocate Abhishek Manu Singhvi, and he said that this issue is not about particular individuals. Nobody is questioning the merits of Justice Nazeer. He's been one of the finest judges we've had in India as the Supreme Court judge, as his previous appointments as well. The question here is the question of principle, whether judges should be allowed to take up executive roles or not. And the question, that's a loophole in our constitution that we need to settle now. I think it's 2023 and it's the perfect time to settle this issue. Shri Arun Jaitley ji saw in India where this shouldn't happen. And I completely agree with his point of view. And I really want to see this change happening. Judges should only take up post-retirement posts that are where the legal application of mind is required and not they become answerable to the executive, because that's a wrong precedent for the constitutional reform.
Sure. And I'd like to get in Ashwini Dubey, because he's an advocate with the Supreme Court as well, to get in and give his perspective as far as the suggestion goes. That sure, you can have a post-retirement life, you can have postings after your retirement as judges of High Court or of the Supreme Court, but you can't have... you can't be in a position where you are perhaps going to be in conflict with the two arms, which is the judiciary and the executive. Is that something that the Supreme Court should look into, or it's something that the Supreme Court doesn't think is a problem at all?
Poonam, look, see, there are many constitutional posts in this country which the law says is to be filled by the retired judges. Like the National Green Tribunal is to be headed by a former Supreme Court judge. Like the National Company Law Appellate Tribunal is to be headed by a retired Supreme Court judge. Like National Human Rights Commission. Like in many other commissions, the bodies which are the existing in the country is to be filled by the Supreme Court or High Court retired judges. Why there is, then make a law, bring a law. And look, the governor and president are the constitutional authorities. In the state, the governor is the one who is the constitutional head, who has to look into the entire affairs of the state. If a state is not acting within the limit or within the ambit of the constitution, by the people, for the people, of the people, then governor has a right to look into any affairs of the state, like any bill or the law is being passed in the state in order to appease the certain class of the voter, in order to politically benefit a certain class and to get the result in the election, that the governor has authorities. Why don't you want that the governor who has a knowledge of the law, the governor who has a knowledge of the constitution, governor who is very well advised the government to become the chief minister of that state is welcoming the decision, and now the politicians are making hue and cry. And where now? The second question. Was Justice Nazeer alone the part of the judgment for which the questions are being raised? No. It was a 5 judges bench judgment. It means that we don't believe in the system. We don't believe in the judicial system of this country, which has upheld a 5-0 that the Ram Mandir should be made there. And the 4-1 that the demonetization of the state, the government decision to demonetization is well within the powers of under the RBI Act. Why always making a question if some appointments are being made? And not only this has not happened first time. I have just referred the justice from Assam, then Justice Rangnath Mishra, then Justice Fatima Bibi. Why don't we see the previous and past precedent? And Justice Krishna here.
It's not like a new precedent is being set right now. This has been happening for years together. But
Yes,
is it just
and the-
because is it just because these questions are being raised, Tanvi Pruthi, just because it's Ram Mandir and the BJP government is in power, though these appointments are made by the president of the country?
No, it has nothing to do with Ram Mandir judgment or with the president appointing somebody. Ashwini sir has highlighted so much about the role of governor. I would like to just highlight recently some instances in India how the governors have performed. You look at Mr. Koshari, who's been removed today as the governor of Maharashtra. How he was working in the state. We all remember former current Vice President of India, Jagdeep Dhankar ji, when he was in West Bengal, how he used to make sure that Mamata Banerjee had a tough time in West Bengal. So we all can understand that in the opposition states how the role between the state government and the governors, how it plays out, how they all function. So it's not a very, very rosy picture over there. I'm not saying Justice Nazeer is going to do the same with Andhra Pradesh. I hope he doesn't. But whether we need a governor or not in a state is a question of another debate. Today the question is that whether we want to continue with post-retirement benefits to or not. And especially where they take up executive role, because personally, it was the BJP when they were in opposition in 2013 who said that they should not take it. And now they are the ones appointing. So this is hypocrisy, to say the least.
Sure, it's
So
hypocrisy of the
government
BJP, but the BJP, Bhuvan Joshi also says, is a hypocrisy of the opposition, starting with the Congress, because the UPA has done this in the past as well. There's absolutely no question of a reward, so to say. And because Tanvi Pruthi brought the example of Bhagat Singh Koshari, we've seen the kind of reactions that have come to the fore that he's been replaced as well. So many in the BJP would allege it's damned if you do, damned if you don't. Any decision you make, there's going to be some kind of objection. Is that opposition just for the sake of opposition then? Bhuvan Joshi?
देखिए, हम निश्चित तौर पे इतना कहना चाहते हैं कि राज्यपाल जब प्रभावी होते हैं, चाहे हमने महाराष्ट्र का उदाहरण को देखा, अभी धनखड़ साहब का उदाहरण को हमने देखा, निश्चित तौर पे कोई राज्यपाल वहां पर रात में सरकार बनाने का काम कर रहा है और राज्यपाल वहां पर जाके सरकार को उखाड़ने का प्रयास कर रहा है। निश्चित तौर पे इससे हमारा लोकतंत्र और संविधान कमजोर होता है और निश्चित तौर पे जो परिपाटी शुरू हो रही है, ये देश और लोकतंत्र के लिए और संविधान के लिए अच्छी बात नहीं है।
बट प्रोफेसर जोशी जी, जब आप कहते हैं कि ये डेमोक्रेसी के लिए सही नहीं है, ये जुडिशरी के लिए सही नहीं है, ऐसे काफी लोगों का मानना है कि ऑपोजिशन जो है वो जुडिशरी के इंडिपेंडेंस में सवाल उठा रही है, ना कि बीजेपी। जुडिशरी और एग्जीक्यूटिव में अंतर है, वो अंतर रहना चाहिए। दे आर टू डिफरेंट पिलर्स ऑफ आवर डेमोक्रेसी एंड दे शुड बी केप्ट लाइक दैट। देयर इज नो इंटरफियरेंस इन आइदर ऑफ द आर्म्स। व्हाई इज द ऑपोजिशन ट्राइंग टू ब्रिंग इन अ लिंक?
देखिए, मैं आपको बताना चाहता हूँ, पूरे देश में आज चर्चा केवल इतने सारे आज राज्यपालों की घोषणा, उपराज्यपालों की घोषणा हुई, लेकिन चर्चा केवल इन्हीं की है। केवल चर्चा इसलिए कि देश आज बड़ी गंभीरता से इस विषय को चर्चा कर रहा है कि किस प्रकार ये जो जितने आपके चाहे अयोध्या का विवाद हो, 3 तलाक का हो, नोटबंदी का हो, ये सारे विवाद के में ये जज थे और आज उसके जो फैसले हैं उनको भी लोग संदेह की दृष्टि दे रहे हैं। ये मैं नहीं, ये पूरे भारत के जनता में आज मैसेज है।
पूरी भारत के जनता का मैसेज है या नहीं, इसके बारे में मैं कुछ कह नहीं सकती प्रोफेसर जोशी जी, बट अश्विनी दुबे, वी हैव बीन डिस्कसिंग वेदर और नॉट प्लम पोस्ट्स और पोस्टिंग्स टू रिटायर्ड जजेस शुड बी गिवन एट ऑल टू बिगिन विद। इफ वी हैव टू मूव इन दैट डायरेक्शन, what are the steps that need to be taken? What is the discussion that needs to be done? Because it obviously has to come in from the Supreme Court side, perhaps, to say that this is something that could create an issue between the two different arms, which should stay separate.
Poonam, it means that the judges should not have the post-retirement life. Question 1. Question 2, throughout their being a judge of the High Court and Supreme Court, they practice law, they practice constitution, and they work in the interest of the larger interest of the community and the public at large. It means that after retirement, they should be aloof. Third, when NJVC was brought, NJVC was the government's this bill in order to make the judicial appointments through a bill, through a law, and which was against the collegium. That the Supreme Court overruled that, Supreme Court quashed that. At that point of time, all the opposition, including the BJP, they all unanimously passed that, except barring one member of parliament. Why now the question is being raised that look, the NJAC is not good for this country? Then selectively You were criticizing the bill which was passed by support of each other, and now somebody who was the part of a bench which unanimously, by referring various aspects, by seeing the various other evidences, passed a judgment, unanimous judgment, still you believe that judgment was in favor of the government. How Ayodhya judgment was in favor of the government? It is a universal truth that Ram was born in Ayodhya. Then if giving this land to the Ram or the devotees to construct a temple, it means it was contrary to the constitution. The second thing, giving a right to the women of this country under the triple talaq, and that point of time Justice Nazeer dissented. You don't see that judgment, and other parts you see the
Absolutely.
governor.
So is it just selectively what the opposition is trying to do, and who really is politicizing this appointment? Is it the BJP that has done so via the appointment, or is it the opposition that is trying to give this spin as the BJP alleges? Well, the jury is out on that, but I am running out of time, so I'd like to thank all my panelists for joining us here on this broadcast with your perspective. That debate will continue. It's likely to echo in the parliament tomorrow, as well as it is the last day of the first part of the budget session. Before now, we're shifting focus to another landmark marvel that India witnessed today, and that was the Sona-Dausa stretch of the Delhi-Mumbai Expressway, which was inaugurated by the Prime Minister. The newly constructed section of the expressway will reduce the travel time between Delhi and Jaipur to 3.5 hours. The distance between the financial capital of this country and the capital, Delhi, will also be reduced significantly, and that leg will open later in the year. Take a look at these reports that my colleague Nikhil sent us from that particular expressway and what the Prime Minister said as he threw open that expressway to the people of the country.
ये देश के सबसे बड़े और सबसे आधुनिक एक्सप्रेसवे में से एक है। ये विकसित होते भारत की एक और भव्य तस्वीर है। मैं दौसा वासियों को, सभी देशवासियों को बहुत बहुत बधाई देता हूं। बीते 9 वर्षों से केंद्र सरकार भी निरंतर इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर पर बहुत बड़ा निवेश कर रही है। इस वर्ष के बजट में तो हमने इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर के लिए 10 लाख करोड़ रुपए की व्यवस्था की है।
Now we are currently reporting from that particular stretch. Now this is the stretch of 246 km long, which is of the Delhi-Dausa Lalsot, made at a cost of 12,150 crore. Now currently it is of 8 lane but expandable till 12 if need be to meet any of the future contingency. Now if we talk about the travel time, currently it takes 5 hours to reach from Delhi to Jaipur, but now after the inauguration of the same expressway, it is going to take the same distance to be covered in 3.5 hours. This is the first tax collection point which has been made on Delhi-Mumbai Expressway once you start leaving the national capital side. Now you can see that this is different in design from what we have seen earlier as well. This is unique design, so to say, of the toll plaza. And also if we talk about the details of the same, for the to and fro side, 15 of the checkpoints have been made to smoothen the traffic on this particular route. So clearly there are many of the checkpoints which have been made for this particular toll plaza. But so far, if we talk about the tax collection, how much the commuters are going to be asked to pay the toll amount, this is something which is not yet out in the public domain.